good, YouTube? Quinn Wade coming to y'all with that basketball analysis. And the hottest topic today is Karl Anthony Towns has been traded tonight. And we're going to look into this right quick and some other news that's been going on. The New York Knicks have agreed to trade with the Minnesota Timberwolves for Julius Randle, Donte DiVincenzo, and a first-round pick via the Detroit Pistons for Karl Anthony Towns. The Knicks will also send Daquan Jeffries and draft compensation to the Charlotte Hornets to facilitate the trade. The two sides intensified discussions on a deal over the past 24 hours. The Knicks have long been linked with Towns, but were set to enter the season particularly thin at center following the free agent departure of Isaiah Hartenstein. He went to OKC, and Mitchell Robinson isn't really healthy right now, and that's their starting center. Towns is entering year one of his 4-year, $220 million supermax extension with a $49.3 million salary this season. People don't really think Towns is that guy that can lead you to a championship, even though he was a number one pick, even though he is a guy that can put up 20 and 10, hit a free throw, hit a three, hit a mid-range, and post up smaller guys or bigger guys, and even face up guys in the high post or low post or even the mid post. And he's a guy that's not even 30 years old, which is crazy. And you coming off a season that he just averaged 21.8 points with guys like Gobert, Mike Conley, Anthony Edwards, and Jaden McDaniels on his team, and he still was able to give you 8.3 rebounds with Gobert in that paint and 3.1 assists and 32.7 minutes. So he wasn't really playing a crazy ton of minutes. And they just came off the Western Conference Finals, which just sounds crazy that this deal will go through, but it has. Towns also previously played for Tom Thibodeau before with the Minnesota Timberwolves until his agent left CAA to run the Knicks. Towns' camp was reportedly stunned by the trade to the Knicks, which does make sense considering that he is one of the best big men in the league. Randall is on a 28.9 contract this season with a player option for the 25-26 season worth 30.9 mils. I would say based off him being an all-star and an all-NBA player that you can look at him as a really good deal on that contract, and it's not even a long-term lock-in like Towns is locked in for more money, but he actually is the better player. So it makes sense that you want to keep him into the peak of his powers, which is in his early 30s and mid 20s, which they had him locked down to. So it made sense. The Knicks also discussed trade scenarios with the Pistons, the Atlanta Hawks, and the Miami Heat. Teams trying to make that power move to try to move up the standings or get a better roster before the season start and before training camp start. DiVincenzo also signed a 4-year, $50 million contract with the Knicks during the 23 offseason and had a career season with 15 points, 3.7 rebounds, and 2.7 assists while shooting 40% from three. That's really good numbers. DiVincenzo has been moving around. He started with the Bucks, moved around the league a little bit, and now he continues to move, unfortunately. But I can see him being in the league for a long time, and he's a quality role player, can play off the ball, can create a shot a little bit. It can be a solid combo guard type of player for you. So I think the trade, when you look at this trade, it isn't mind-blowing when you look at the fact that they just gave an all-star for an all-star in this trade. I do think that we still have to see what's really going to come out of this. Obviously, the Knicks have been hot, getting Mikal, getting Jalen Brunson, building with Tom Thibodeau and Julius Randle, and now they needed to get bigger and stronger and more flexible and more versatile and more tougher to guard. It's going to be tough to see this team, to guard or play against this team. But one thing I will say now, now Jalen Brunson got a guy that's usually healthy, as Town is not a center or power forward that gets injured a lot, and he can really space the floor for Brunson to do his probing and his ability to get to the rim and to the mid-range. I think that would help his game a lot. I think it would help other guys because Towns can set screens and get these guys open. I feel like one of the biggest detriments to this team was they used Jalen Brunson too much, and that's how he was starting to get beat up and injured and accumulating a lot of injuries over the last couple of years, is because the Knicks, the last two, been using him a lot in basically every play. I think this gives them another guy that they can rely on offensively. And I just look at it like this is the type of big man you want until you realize you can't really build a great defense around him. But do they need it? Because like they said the same thing about Nikola Jokic, and they ended up winning the championship because he was just too dominant as an offensive player. And I feel like this team can be really, really good offensively. I do wonder if Tom Thibodeau really, can make this offense really shine because he does have struggles with offensive sets and getting the best out of players. But I do think that he's a different coach. He has a different mentality, and we will have to see on this deal. And when you look at the fact that Julius Randle is on a decent contract and he already been traded and he's been an all-star / all NBA player and he's a 20-point scorer, I think that you look at this and you look at the fact that Julius Randle is just a solid player. He's just really good. And he's a brute type of guy. He can bang with you. He can shoot threes. He can do similar things. He just lacks the height. And he just had some freakish injuries happen to him, unfortunately. But if I'm looking at the Timberwolves perspective, I don't see Julius Randle as a permanent home for a team like the Minnesota Timberwolves. So I can see him going somewhere else. I do like the DiVincenzo ad under that type of contract. But then again, I'm not crazy over it because they already have Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels, who they're going to really be investing in. But Aaron Gordon is hopeful for extension with the Nuggets. I think that's another piece that teams is going to look at. We've seen DeJounte get traded. We've seen Chris Dunn get traded. We've seen Mikal Bridges get traded. We done seen a lot of defensive guys get traded. And, even Paul George, you can kind of qualify him for that still. And I just think that, this move is just going to be a little suspect to people. People going to say, why would you get rid of Towns? And, he's one of your best players. And people even looked at it like, him and Anthony Edwards are just a dominant duo offensively, both 20-point scorers, both guys that can really take over games when they get the right teammates around them and the right lineups around them and the right matchups in their favor, just like any other superstars. Why would you want to destroy that? Why would you want to ruin that? Why would you want to go in that direction? You got to look at it, too, that this team is paying a lot of money to this roster, and it's not really a championship quality roster. I still look at the Boston Celtics as the best team in the league, and Minnesota is a little bit behind them. And if you're going to commit that much money to a team that's not really a championship contender, it kind of makes sense to move Towns for that reason. Or they can just feel like Gobert is just a better fit. His contract is tough to trade too, but, he could just be a better fit for what they're trying to do. You look at the fact that Mike Conley's older than Anthony Edwards, same with Rudy Gobert, and now you kind of wonder what direction is they really going to go in, trading one of their young talent players. Like, they already traded Andrew Wiggins, who was a number 1 pick. They already traded, Towns now. Now you kind of wonder what is they going to do, because you're not really going to get anything crazy for Julius Randle. And you might say I'm crazy because they just got Karl Anthony Towns, but look at the other stuff they had to add on to that trade to make this actually really worth doing. And I feel like, the Minnesota Timberwolves, they're going to drop down a little bit. They're still going to be competitive. They're still going to be a great team. We're going to see if they still can be great defensively because they're just not as big. They're just not as strong as they're going to be because the length and the size is a big difference. Having 2 7-footers and having a guy lower and less athletic and Julius Randle in there. But I don't think he's going to stick around that long. I just think this is a trade to get you lower in the salary cap, to get you in a comfortable spot, and then you try to make that move or, figure out how good Anthony Edwards is going to continue to get. I think this also puts more pressure on Anthony Edwards because now he has to score more. Now he has to do more. Now he's going to be asked to defend more just because it's just less margin for errors. But this team did match up well against Denver, and that was a team that also fell in the same type of situation where they not being able to pay everybody, so people got to go, and then they got to take them blows on the roster and just live with their decision. But they won a championship already. This isn't a team that was able to accomplish that goal just yet, and losing a player of that type of talent is just huge, especially when you match up well against other teams. Now you kind of lose that advantage, and now you're in a situation where you're good, you're a playoff team, you're still going to be competitive even if you trade Julius Randle, but what are you really going to do? In the playoffs, you're going to be like a Phoenix Suns type of team where you have a star that's really great and you're not really going to do much around him. when it comes to team success and playoff success, this is what this team is looking like they're going to be, and this is the direction it seems like they're going to choose. I don't think you can get another better player than Towns. I think you're just better off just keeping him. You're not going to get a player better. I feel like it's either Julius Randle's at the same level or he's just going to have to play better. I don't think that's realistic after the injuries that he already suffered and the fact that he has to be required to play defense and he has to use, his size and his effort. That doesn't age as well, and it's the physicality do make you get more banged up because you rumbling and you tussling and you getting banged up from that in the rebounds. And he already shown that he got injured before with the leg. So I'm not crazy over this trade for Minnesota. When you look at it from the Knicks' perspective, this is what they really need. A guy that understands the game and understands his role, and he's cool being the alpha male. He's cool not being the alpha male. But they just needed somebody else that can get their own shot and still space the floor, and that's all the Knicks needed. They didn't really need DiVincenzo. They had it with Randle, but he's not as big. He's not as long. They can even play Mitchell Robinson with Karl Anthony Towns because he can shoot. You know what I mean? And he can put the ball on the floor too. So you traded a unicorn for a guy that, you know, is worse and is better payday wise and is better keeping yourself under the cap. But other than that, you got worse as a basketball team, if I had to be honest. But you can say the opposite for the Knicks. They gave up a lot of future for a guy that still has 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 10 more years possibly left at a high level. I know that contract is huge, but you got to take gambles. You have to take risks. You got to give credit to Jalen Brunson for taking some, 100 million plus less money to emphasize that these moves can be made, even though, it made sense because it has been made. So they have done right on their part by giving them a real big man that is the modern day big man, and that's something that they do need if they want to take down a team like the Celtics. And now we have to see how this team really performs, and now we have to see how this team really plays, because a lot of people is already hyping up the New York Knicks the whole offseason, and they haven't even played one training camp game together. They just been playing scrimmages probably and just having fun because the Mikal Bridges trade wasn't that long ago. Now you add another huge piece. It just shows you that Knicks basketball is back. I'm happy for them. I'm proud of them, because it's not the same when the Knicks aren't doing good. It's not the same when the Knicks aren't viable. And now you can't really say that anymore because of the acquisitions that they chose to be so aggressive on really are coming true. Now it's just about staying healthy, building chemistry, learning, how to move with and without the basketball, continue to share the basketball, and just remember Jalen Brunson isn't the team. He has other guys that can make shots and become distractions, and other guys possibly that can, get hot. They still got Josh Hart, by the way, so losing DiVincenzo ain't that horrible because you still got guys like Josh Hart that can still play that guard position, and you still got OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges, so you're going to be straight when at the point guard, shooting guard, small forward. And like I said, even if you want to go with the Twin Tower lineup, like the Gobert lineup, you still got Mitchell Robinson. It allows him to get healthier. It allows him not to be as needed as much. But even if he wanted to play more, they can actually play together. In the modern game, most teams are going back big a little bit. So it ends up working out that way too. And you didn't really give up much of your bench if you're the Knicks. You didn't really give up too much of your bench or too many role players. You just gave up a key player for a better fit, And I think that that's all that's going to really come down to from this trade. But I'm sorry that I talked about the Knicks more than I talked about the Wolves. But it's not too many things to highlight, except you just got a worse Towns that defends less, possibly, but plays harder, wants it a little bit more. But he is more injury prone. He is more liability defensively sometimes. And he just not going to age as well when they already have Gobert down in that paint, even though he can face up, and that can work offensively for them to still have him near the basket. That could work low post, mid post, but he's going to have to act quick. He's going to have to try to score quicker because they're going to send them double teams in those traps and try to force Julius Randle to give up the ball. I seen it his first couple years with the Knicks. get the ball, try to make a quick move, try to make a quick decision before the help comes and get the ball out your hand. It's harder to do that when you got Mike Conley. It's harder to do that when you have Anthony Edwards. It's harder to do that when you got a guy with a high IQ like Rudy Gobert that's always trying to crash the boards or always trying to play in the paint that you have to pay attention to. So that might work out a little bit more with Minnesota because I did see it actually work with Towns, but it just doesn't make you a better team. And it hurts, but it is what it is. But I don't really see them keeping it. It's going to be cheaper, but a weaker deal, for a team like Minnesota. And I think their chance of winning the championship is closing faster, and it depends on the decisions that you make. It can open the opportunity or it can close. And getting Randle, getting Brunson made the Knicks who they are. You got to get Randle to get Brunson, then you get rid of Randle to get Towns. Now you got a team that really makes a lot of sense on both ends of the court. And now we just got to see what Tom Thibodeau coaching is going to be with a team that is loaded and one of the teams that's going to be must-see TV. Other than that, nothing really crazy to talk about, nothing really crazy to say. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. If you love analysis, this is the home and the beginning of analysis being in pop culture. So if you want to join the channel, comment, like, subscribe, share, and also don't forget to hit the notification bell for more analysis when it first comes out. Also, if you're new to the channel or you're old on the channel, don't forget to watch the older videos on my channel. I have so many videos, 2,000 plus. I'm almost at 3K videos. That's how hard I've been going on these videos. So if you love this type of content or you wanted more of this content or you got a bunch of free time, go back and watch some of my old classics that I've been making and some of my most recent ones too. And you will see why so many people love and worship this channel to a certain extent, because the praise is real, because the content is as good as it gets. Other than that, let me know what you guys think about this trade in the comment section below, and I can't wait to hear from you.